Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a fascinating conversation today with my guest, who is a starseed and a light seed warrior, a light worker warrior. Beth Rachel is with us, and we're talking about how we can experience the full expression of Gaia and the original human genome. And this is interesting because the story that you're about to hear will give you great, deep inspiration that everything happens as a soul contract and that we are much more than we have ever thought we were. Beth, Rachel, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we're going to talk about this Earth grid activation and how we can be here to support Gaia and experience the full expression of Gaia. But I want to talk with about your awakening. What a journey this was. I had asked you before our show if you've ever had any ET UFO experience, and you said yes. And so it's more of the darker side. So share with us your awakening story, because this involves secret government programs.
It does, yeah. So for me, my awakening started in my early 20s. When I was about 20, I went through a dark night of the soul. And it was a terrifying and horrible experience. It affected me physically, spiritually, emotionally. And my body was really kind of deteriorating, and I was getting visited by these dark entities and suffocated in my sleep. And it was really horrific. And I came from a psychic family, and so psychic tools were always known to me. But I didn't feel quite equipped to handle this situation. So I began to deepen my studies and learn more about how to really own my space. And it led to a deep dive into, what exactly was creating this dark night of the soul, and really opened up, into what I would call the spiritual awakening, which led me to tapping into my light language that I had spoken as a child and was ridiculed and punished for. So I tucked away, and it really just kind of began to slowly open this box of everything that I had repressed or tucked away. And I had little fragments of memories of a lot of my, what we would call negative or dark experiences. But it wasn't until I, learned a couple of modalities and gained more of my own inner knowing and empowerment that I was really able to go into some of these places and recover some of this information and these memories of government programs and abductions, and experiences of actually experiences from both the light and the dark. So I think that, I think that anyone who's really kind of paying attention to the conversation of awakening on the planet right now knows that, there's this sort of battle that's gone on between the light and the dark for a very long time. Well, as a child, I was kind of caught in the middle of that battle. And so I had both experiences with the dark and I had experiences with the light. And I would sort of go back and forth and take this information or sort of, quest given by the light into the dark experiences and try to mitigate what the sort of dark missions were. So almost like a secret spy a little bit, I would go back and forth. So in this way, I was able to keep a lot of my activated DNA, my starseed DNA, as a child. And it wasn't until I was a teenager and I started to find a way to unwind out of these experiences that a lot of that got shut down. So that was what I was reawakening in my 20s.
Wow, fascinating. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the dark night of the soul. Can you share what happened there? Was it, and then when you realized that you traced it back to the origins of it, what happened there?
Yeah, it started with physical symptoms. Um, Deep, I was a dancer, and so it was really impeding my physical mobility because I was getting these really deep spasms in my chest cavity, and it actually landed me in the ER because I was in so much physical pain. And so they did their medical thing of, giving me the painkillers and the, attempting to diagnose and, getting the EKG and all those things and really coming up with nothing. And this is when I really started to learn, I mean, later when I kind of cracked the code, I started to really learn how we somaticize trauma. Right. So it was my soul kind of knocking on the door, going, wake up, there's all this material here for you. And simultaneously, this dark entity had started visiting me um, at night when I was doing in sort of terrorizing me in my sleep. So I wasn't able to sleep. And I later came to know this entity as something that had kind of been like a tracker um, to keep tabs on me, and had kind of sort of like found me again. So it took quite a bit of energy without having all that information at the time, just all the tools that I did have to clear my space and own my space. I employed all of those and finally started to gain some strength back. And that's when I really expanded my study to be able to own my space even more, and gaining more and more awareness of what was happening.
Wow. Okay. And so, how did you heal from that? How did you take your power back?
Yeah, I started studying psychic skills.
Okay.
Yeah, I started a psychic skills program, and I, was a dance major, and that, completely, I could barely dance at that point, but it created this experience for a more inward, relationship with my body. So I went into yoga, and really started working on my embodiment. And this began my path of, study of massage and body work and energy healing. And it just kind of built from there. It stayed in body work for quite a while. During that time, I started to recognize energy coming out of my hands, and that I could heal people with my hands. And I would work on whoever would let me, like my friends, or and be able to get readouts of what was going on with their organs and how to help them, just shift and change it just by sending them that energy. And so this was all, sort of part of the awakening, and empowerment was sort of happening simultaneously as I was sort of gaining more embodiment and knowledge in the 3D physical world. I was also opening the window to the spiritual and allowing more and more of that to come in simultaneously, and my own soul's wisdom.
Wow. Beautiful. We love hearing the journey of star seeds. And you were saying earlier as well, before we started, that this was because star seeds are tracked. Star
Yeah.
seeds are tracked. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah. So, our our government, right, is I don't know that it's more than what we think of it as, right? It's not just the military. When you really kind of start to dive into some of the secret programs, the secret government, it's a combination of our humans and ETs, and there's alliances, right? So there's a lot of technologies that they have available to them and a lot of awareness that they're not sort of sharing with the general public, right? So they use these technologies and this awareness to track the energy signatures of star seeds. And so they're also very aware of, the genetic lines of star seeds, because they are, we don't often just come out of nowhere. We're usually connected to a genetic line. So you quite often you see this kind of, coming up generationally. So, and that was sort of the case for me. Yeah, they track them as they're coming in, and there's various, recruitment techniques depending on, depending on sort of what maybe your family's already involved with or not involved with. There's certain recruitment techniques that they go through schools. There's some they do through cults. There's some that are just very grotesque, and you just how much you want to share of that is, a lot of this is pretty grotesque, what happens in that whole realm.
Yes. So I think we've heard stories and experiences of that, but the good aspect of it is that it led you to this awakening, and other women we've talked with going through a similar experience. I know I interviewed two in the same day, and my head almost exploded. It really did. It was like, I can't believe it. It was the same story, both women in one day, and I had a headache, and it was my reality that was being shattered. So the good news from this is that you are this beautiful person now, standing fully in your power, free from that, liberated from that, and now doing your soul mission. Would you
Yes.
say that this is what the requirement was, or your soul contract to come in? I mean, it's pretty ugly, but look at what.
It's ugly, right? Well, I can tell you, from my soul recollection, I I can remember, before coming in and kind of coming from this place of like, I'm going to go in and take all the darkness on and we're going to win, that kind of, energy, that kind of perspective, and really being tremendously humbled by what that really meant in physically being here. And at one point, really just being so depleted from the whole experience, that I, was during a near-death experience, an out-of-body experience, that I really connected with my soul and simultaneously the soul of the planet, and was reminded of what Earth was really created for, which leads into, our special offer and how that all works. But that's really what clicked into place for me, was sort of, I feel like I came from this place of ego consciousness and thinking, win the war from this perspective, right? And I think that we still get stuck in this, we're in a war between light and dark. And really, I think the intention and the creation here was how to be in unification. And there's various perspectives of that and nuances to that, but that was the remembrance that I came into. And it was really kind of this moment of like, oh, it's not about winning at all. It's not about winning. And the moment we stop playing the game on either side and disengage is really the moment of triumph, right? It's not about winning, it's about choosing to engage in a different way.
Wow, that's very mature and advanced. And you said that you learned what the earth was created for. Can we go, and then you've had earth grid activations. So can you share your wisdom and your intel on what the earth was created for? What did you learn?
Yeah, what I learned was that it was created to have a symbiotic relationship with the soul of the planet. So all souls participating with the soul of the planet, and to have this experience of a group creation and group conscious creation. So I think, what I've witnessed in recent times is, an awareness building around we're all co-creators. We're all co-creators. In the last 15, 20 years, it's become a bigger and bigger concept, and it's absolutely true, right? It's absolutely true in our connection with source energy. And what I have learned for my own truth, and what I hope to share with people, is that we chose to have this group creation called Earth. So we're all co-creators, and together we co-created, Earth. And in order to really have harmony on Earth, it takes all of us participating in this way of really acknowledging that we are constantly co-creating, right? It's a constant flow of energy from her through us. We, as part of her landscape, really an extension of her. So it's a different level of consciousness when we start to look at it as we're part of, we have the concept, I think we have it down pretty well, like we're part of everything, we're part of the oneness. And so this is the microcosmic experience of like, we're all part of her oneness. And this is what we agreed to. So there's another kind of ego death in that I feel like is necessary.
Ego death for sure. Just as we hear those words, it does take it to an advanced level of consciousness, an advanced awareness of consciousness. We are part of her oneness. And so that's why so many of us innately feel responsible for Earth being trashed, or the destructive tendencies of mining and fracking and pollution, sound pollution, noise pollution. But then saying this, it's that fight. It brings us back into that fight where you said earlier that we're not here to fight, but we're here to accept it all. So walk us through what would be our behavior or a good practice to no longer fight or feel bad while we accept and take positive action.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Such a good question. I first just want to say that, one of, we do have the shadow element here. We have the shadow element, we have the light element. The goal is to be able to, come out of that duality. And so that's what you're asking, is like, really the steps that we can take to really be in that place. And I do want to just say before we go into those steps that, the shadow, the whole goal, right, has been to create distance between us and her, right? Because that's the success of our experiment that we created together, our project. This is a group project, and the success of it is for us to all be linked in harmony. So the shadow has been our sort of our challenge, if you will, that's kind of put us through these various levels of initiation, on soul levels to really come back into remembrance of this place and really master our abilities in connecting with her. And again, step into another level of ego death as we disengage with them. So the special offer that I put forward is one of the ways that we can begin to be in and stay in this harmonic state. And it's really very simple. And that's another thing, right? That the shadow or the dark is very good at making everything very complicated, and, because it's very mental and it's designed to keep our brains very busy, and keep us out of our hearts and out of our lower bodies, which are really divinely synced to her. So within our bodies, we have these three glands that are gateway glands for her energy to move through. So a lot of us are familiar with the concept of her energy kind of moving in a toroid. It comes through the center, out, and then back down. So if we imagine ourselves standing in that as part of that, her energy just flowing through us, right? As it flows through all life here, it's flowing through us, so that the energy that continues to create the co-creation that I'm talking about is when it flows through us and it's flowing through our consciousness and back down to her. That's how the consciousness is shared. And as it comes back up through us, it's coming up through what I call the sacral brain, which is the sacral ganglia. And that's the uptake. That's where the knowledge center, where everything that was shared, as the last sort of breath came up and out through all beings, through all consciousness here and back down into her, as it comes back up, we get that readout, right? So it's constantly circulating and sharing of information. So we're constantly creating this canvas together. So as we open and unlock these glands that have been pretty shut down due to this, war, a war of distraction, I would really say, distraction from empowerment, ultimately, as we begin to open them up and allow her energy to flow through, we're sharing in that consciousness continually. And we're sharing in that ability to now co-create on a whole nother level, as we're acknowledging that our energy is intrinsically linked, not just to her, but to each other and to all life here.
Beautiful. So really fascinating about the way that our bodies, we are connected to Gaia, and we just forgot that. So that was the separation. There was a separation between us and Gaia that makes us feel separate. All right. So how can we connect in with Gaia in this way? And how do you unlock those glands, those seals, and energy?
Yeah. So I take people through an activation process that's full of light codes and and meditations. The other thing that happens with those glands is that our creator race put this diamond technology around each gland, which holds our multidimensional consciousness, so that we're able to pull in and draw upon our galactic DNA as we activate these glands. And so as we do, so the basic meditation, without the activation, right? The basic meditation is that we're pulling her energy up through our body, up and out. So she comes up and out our heart, and she comes up and out the head. And we have these different layers of consciousness that hold different perceptions around the mind and the pineal gland, which is one of the three glands. And we have our own soul perception, which is one perception, right? Which is why we're all so unique, because each soul has been through its own unique experience. And then we have her perception. We have Gaia's perception, which is unique, and holds sort of the perception of the planet as a whole. And then we have that source perception, and it's filtering through all of that as we're cycling through. So the basic technique is to go into the center of the planet. And I always see her as this like liquid plasma, pink liquid plasma. And sometimes she'll shift into a crystal form, and it's either one or the other, but at the center of the planet. And is to go in and connect with her and really, really sync up your heart and her heart, and breath. So you're at the same rhythm. And just that alone, people usually are like, oh yeah, this is why we're here. You feel that unification with her, and it's like something clicks, and the body knows, and the soul knows, and the heart knows. And then we bring her back up with our consciousness. So she's coming through inner earth, through all the layers, and up through our body, up and out. And as she comes through the body, the first gateway gland that she enters through is a little tiny gland at the base of the coccyx called the coccygeal gland. We had trouble with that earlier. And it's a little gland, but it holds actually the original human genome before it was altered or manipulated by other races. As we know, the DNA in the pineal gland was. This DNA is dormant, but it was not touched. It was put in there for, to sort of be for safekeeping. And so that's the first gland to activate. And as that activates for people, they usually, sometimes there's an immediate effect, but I notice usually there's more of a gradual kind of, effect of most of these activations. And that first activation, of course, you've got your root chakra there. So all of your, body safety issues with presence, the issues kind of start to bubble up, and then they filter out. And they release pretty quickly. You see them pretty quickly. And it's like this whole layer, right, of relationship to the body and relationship to the planet. And the projections that have been put in around that separation just kind of like come off as that activates. And then that diamond technology that's surrounding that particular gland is the diamond technology of truth. So it's got these universal truth codes within it, right, which go perfectly with this is the original human genome stored here, right? So there's a lot more ownership suddenly in the body, in the physical form, in what it means to be human. And a lot of the abilities that, we're constantly striving for, I think, in our ascension process, like, teleportation, more telepathy, telekinesis, these kinds of advanced psychic skills are actually within our bodies. They're stored within our bodies, and they're activated largely, not only, but largely, within this relationship with Gaia, as we allow her to flow through us. There's a certain amount of activations we've been getting, from source, and we've been downloading from here down, and now it's time to activate from here up. And those missing pieces, that we've been looking for to really activate those abilities are stored within the body. But the body has a different consciousness, and she has a different consciousness, and it, again, there's that another layer of ego death it's like, we're going to be doing these things, but we're not going to have the same consciousness of them. So, the part of us that's like attached to having and achieving these accelerated abilities isn't going to be so attached by the time we get there. We're not going to care. We're just going to be living in harmony. And that's just what you do. Yeah, you activate this and this opens up, and then you can go from there to there. That's, just the reality you end up living in.
We want to live in that reality.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think as you were explaining that process, we were tuning into it. And now it would just be so wonderful, Beth, if we can do a little bit of that meditation to experience it. I know that your special offer goes deep into these activations, and we'll talk about those, but is there a short experience that you can lead us through? And
Yeah.
we love to hear the language too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can go through, and I take people all the time to move this energy through their body without the activation. There's still a certain amount that's gonna,
Okay.
that's gonna move through. And also just to say that, everybody's gonna have their own sticking points with with this, right? So some of the stuff is going to shake off easy. Other bits may be, you know, stored information or trauma, or that they might need a little help with. And so that's part of what slows us down. That's part of what, you know, the work that needs to be done to really get to this place, is it's going into those places that we're still kind of, you know, holding as icky or uncomfortable or don't quite want to go to within ourselves. Moving through those is what really gets us to this place, really allows us to fully activate these places and fully open, right? Because so we're not skipping ahead. Yeah, if that makes sense.
It does. And it just brings, it illustrates the awareness of the things that are happening in our body, and how we're holding on to the things, the trauma or the shadow. So, wow. Okay. Well, beautiful. Let's go for that then.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. So let's start by taking some deep breaths and just really settling into the body. I always like to focus on the inhale, calling all parts and pieces of the consciousness into the body that may be out thinking about other things, doing other things, peering over into their friend's space, whatever it is, checking on a child. Just bring it in on the inhale. And then exhale, letting it go, letting go of anything that you're ready to let go of right now, anything that's not serving you. So let's just do that a few more times, getting centered, inhaling in all the parts and pieces ready to come home. Exhaling out anything not serving you at this time. Then we're going to start by bringing in the source energy from above, because this is the infinite energy of creation and it is always running through us. So let's bring in from an infinite source point above our heads this beautiful, brilliant white light. Just allow it to pour in through the top of the head and move through the body. And as it does move through the body, it's just going into any places that need a little extra love or healing, releasing, and just let it go there and unwind anything that's ready to unwind right now. And moving all the way through the body, traveling through the chest and the belly and the hips and the legs. And moving all the way down into the earth. Traveling through inner earth, through all the layers of inner earth. All the way down into the center of the planet, where you meet the beautiful soul of the planet. Mama Gaia, I call her Anya Ata. This beautiful pink plasma energy. She may be in crystal form. Either way you see her is correct in what you need. And I want to invite everybody to just place, without opening your eyes, staying in this space, place your 2 fingers on your wrist to just feel your pulse. Really bringing the embodiment piece in. Feel your pulse. And allow yourself to sit with her until you feel your pulse sync with hers. It's a different kind of pulse that she has. A little bit more of an energy pulse, but you can feel it. And if the wrist is distracting you, feel free to let it go. Just feel that unification, feel that rhythm. And feel it in your breath. Feel how she has an ebb and flow to her, just like your breath. And feel those sync up. Allow the rhythm and the timing of your body and your breath to slightly change, not intentionally, but just as it's naturally syncing. And there's some light codes that'll come in here to help the synchronization process and lifting and releasing any places where there's confusion or projections around difficulty in syncing up. Just to make this more easeful. Alaleonue tanchere tasate tunono kukwai ni mano atarete enea katuri ni mono kotoi. Alalai sante cheremono atabarui nakaturi enate sete enokutui eniamata. Alalorianuia sata chiriano kurui tapuru namara kutorete sitani anaka. Alalora eno woodwia namara weta burono kuwiti santare chirinkutu. Just letting go of any places that are feeling they need to think their way through this and just dropping into the feeling. And slowly, you're going to start to travel back up, and you're bringing some of her energy. I call her Anya Ata, the soul of the planet, bringing her with you up through inner earth, up through all the layers of inner earth, and up through the base of your body, through your pelvic bowl, filling your pelvic bowl. Filling your abdomen, traveling up the central channel. Filling the heart, pooling at the heart. Just allow that energy to pool at the heart for a moment as more of it will travel up through the neck and up to the head where more will pool. And then allow this energy from the head and from the heart to gently pour back down into the earth like a pink fountain. This energy is continuously moving up through the earth. It never stops. This is a continuous channel and it's not overwhelming. It's just a flow. And she's bringing you all the nurturing and love that you need for you. And that gets fed first. And then everything else goes back down. So nothing's getting taken from you. You're being fed and you're being a channel for this energy. Again, just allowing it to move up through the lower body and pour out through the heart and head several more times. Cleansing the heart of any feelings of limitation or separation between yourself and Gaia, between yourself and your fellow humans. Cleansing the mind of any projections into your perceptive reality that program in limitations and separations. Just allowing them to melt away as this energy comes up from below and pours back down. As it's coming up through that sacral gland, releasing any and all stored creative energy that has been suppressed through sexual trauma, creative repression, just allowing that to open to whatever extent feels safe and good right now, and move up through the body, feeding your body, feeding your vessel, and allowing the rest to pour back down and carry the communication, carry the frequency that you share with the planet, your unique frequency and wisdom gets shared with the planet, that your energy stays with you. And a few more of these circulations. Alalwea tariana swatache tonokuri amonoko twatari te sente. Alaleono vicheriamoko naite pokorono te siento. Uarasa tatarino kotoiti monawacharete mokorwaiti niatato sotoini mokorwati. Alalwaleana twasata chirene kiato turunu kortoi tamana loro viena kapara kondariti sata charoko. Allowing one more cycle to be complete. And whenever you're ready, gently opening your eyes. There's no need to ground unless you feel it, but should be a grounding experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Feeling that connection to Gaia and Pachamama, Anya Ata.
Anya Ata, yeah.
Anya Ata, beautiful. Thank you. This is very, again, grounding. And I can see when everyone does this and gets this, new earth. I can see how new earth is within us.
Yes, absolutely. It's like it's old earth, really, right? It's like it's really tapping into what's been here available to us all along, but we've had this huge distraction, which in itself has also been a gift, because it's served our souls in certain ways, that we've mastered certain skills that we wouldn't have otherwise, and we've come to certain, evolutionary places within our own soul journey that we wouldn't have otherwise. Sort of a master class in a way, being here on earth, but yeah, it's here already. It's just not what we think. It's not what's being projected. And when we really feel, my experience is when we really feel into what we just experienced, it's like, yeah, got it. That's what it's, that feels right. It shouldn't be this complicated, right? It's like, we don't have to go off and do this whole other thing. It was done for us. We were given this beautiful, we did it a long time ago. I believe we were the co-creators, but yeah, it's already done. It's just a matter of getting all the gunk, which is like the part nobody likes, right? It's like getting all the gunk out of the way. I have been through the gunkiest gunk, and I tell you, it is not fun. You try to find moments of levity in the whole thing, but it's like, it's not fun. It's necessary, but it's not fun. But that's what keeps us from, the bypass. We all want who doesn't want to just jump to the end, but I think we can have some of both. We can have the simultaneous experience where we're really embracing this knowing and this wisdom and cleaning out our gunk. And hopefully we have some fun along the way too, because, otherwise it gets a bit much. But yeah, and I was reminded one thing I didn't talk about is that coccygeal gland. The other reason it's so important is that it does hold so much of our sacred power in the form of our creative energy and our sexual energy, which they're divinely linked. And but so much of the reason we've had so much sexual abuse and trauma on this planet, and physical abuse too, it also locks up that center, is to repress that energy that's intentional from the shadow, right? And as we awaken that's and clear that out and start creating safety in there by allowing her to move through there, this is the basis of Kundalini and what we think of as Kundalini energy. This is like, it's her energy moving through us. And I think the reason that people oftentimes have such extreme experiences with Kundalini energy is because they're not activating that energy in a whole and balanced way in connection to her. It's getting activated within them, but it's missing that connection with her. Because if it had that, then I think my sense, is that it's balanced, it's supported.
Wow.
Jarring to the nervous system.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back even in my own life just last year and listening to music for the earth, and it was on to 2022. And because I was feeling that connection to earth, it was really quite beautiful. So I guess a question would be, how do we know when those glands are open?
Yeah, well, when we go through the activation process,
Mm-hmm.
I think people really feel them. Sometimes you even kind of hear a clicking, you
Oh,
know. Yeah, and that diamond technology opens simultaneously as well. So you get that added support, and there's a sense of really um, a settling in the body. I think sometimes we think of, activations like oftentimes are like these really kind of the higher frequency kind of like buzzing kind of activations. And this is more of like an embodiment, really feeling that like more of a drop in an expansion of the body,
yes.
the energy of the body and how it expands into the rest of the energy here, feeling more of that unification on a regular basis and sensing more of that unification on a regular basis. And it's like, we're so trained to like think what's the next step? What should I do? What does it feel like? And
Yeah.
this is really about, this is really like a being, and moving that energy, dropping us into, we're aware of like the different states of consciousness as far as, we use like beta, alpha, theta, delta, we have these within our brain. And so it's sort of similar, right, to dropping into like a delta consciousness, or it's
Mhm.
similar in that it's like, it's a body consciousness, and it's really letting go of that I have to do, I have to think, I have to know, and trusting that this vessel was perfectly designed to fit into the earth like a lock and a key, and they're united in one. And I'm going to let go of needing to be the conductor and trust that the conduction is already within.
When we do this, then, wow, why is this so necessary? How will our lives change when we do this?
Well, I think that if, obviously if the whole world did it simultaneously, we'd have a completely different, reality on our hands. I think that there's a lot of simple, basic reasons to do this and how our lives will change from, we'll feel calmer, we'll feel more in alignment. Our nervous systems will feel more calm. I mean, those are like the very sort of like useful 3D, reasons. And then it's oh, someone's asking for this. Oh, yeah.
That's the
Um yeah, you got
okay.
that. Yeah, and then there's, the bigger reasons of what it truly means. It's really embracing what it truly means to be human. And I feel like um it's really what we signed up for. Like this is really the learning that we signed up for.
Yeah.
Is how to be a part of a group creation and what that experience is really like. We know what how to be part of a singular creation. Like, oh, I want to manifest that, so I'm going to work on manifesting that. So that's my life. But it's a whole other mastery for us to really come into this together. And when we really start embodying this for ourselves, in our own physical being, for myself, I notice my perception, my lens of the world has really changed. And I'm no longer looking for, I'm not going to say I don't get caught up into this sometimes because it's very ingrained thinking, but I'm no longer looking for who's to blame, who's right, who's wrong. um you know was that balance that we were talking about. It's like, what is everybody learning? What We're all making choices, and what are you learning from that? What am I learning from it? And you may be choosing to learn something totally different, and you might decide to keep learning over there, which I have no desire to be up, but okay. um Coming out of that place of judgment, it really, really supports coming out of that place of judgment, and really seeing how we're all just a part of.
Yes. And so we can connect in this way with Gaia every day, several times a day, actually. It's a beautiful practice. It's a beautiful tool.
Well, and really, this is running all the time, whether we're
Right.
concentrating on it or not, right? We are like these we are these vessels for her energy to move through. So even if we're not thinking about it or we're not doing the meditation, her energy is always moving through us, just like source energy is always moving through us. And so it helps me to think that, like, oh yeah, it's always moving. Yeah.
Yes, it's always moving.
Yeah, and the things that stop it up, are those sticky things, like I mentioned. If it's not something that's coming from a projection from outside, it's coming from our own fears, or whatever's creating like a lack of safety, or feeling of limitation, sort of narrows that flow, but it never goes away. It just narrows it. Same thing sometimes with our stream from source. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. So this would be a beautiful time to tell us more about a special offer that you put together, in which allows people to work with you. You do a personal session, and then you've got these activations that expand on the process that we did today. So I've put that link in our chat box, and it's also available wherever you're watching or listening to this video in the description box. So check that out. And Beth, please tell us about what this is, because these are the activations.
These are the activations. Yeah. So we'll do one gland a week. There's 3 glands. So we have the coccygeal gland that we talked about briefly. And we go through with light codes and open the gland and deconstruct some of the fear, limitation, separation programming that's sitting in there as we're opening it. and the sacred geometry of it is opened with the light codes. And then we have the blue diamond that will open or expand around it. And so some of those galactic lineages might light up for some people in there. And then we move up the third week and we activate the thymus, which is the heart center. This is another sort of, as we were talking about Kundalini and kind of a little bit of clarity there, this is another point of clarity where this is really like the heart center, is that thymus. Not just high heart, because high heart is often associated with just like self-love or self-compassion. This is for all. So this is another sort of place where we've kind of gotten tripped up or misguided a little bit. So we unlock again with the light code activations, and that opens up the sacred geometry of it. And with each opening, with each activation, it's allowing more and more of her energy to flow through. And it's allowing, as we bring in and activate the diamond technology, we simultaneously have that galactic DNA that's getting activated for everybody, which is unique for everybody. But we've also got these codes. So that first diamond is the codes of truth. The second diamonds are the codes of compassion. So these are universal codes of compassion that were, set in to remind us that of part of our agreement for being here and to hold that into place. So this gland beautifully opens and is also held by this sort of quantum knowledge simultaneously. And then we have the pineal gland as the third activation. And again, we've got the light codes and the sacred geometry that open the gland and allow more of her energy to flow through. And that's the clear diamond, the source codes. So it's I love the added diamond activations because they're really like, they really bring, it's like we really need the physical activation, which is, the embodiment piece, but we also really need this piece that extends into our multidimensional selves so that we're reminded, that we are so much more. And these are these diamonds aren't going anywhere. They're there, they're held in that place, and they're right in the light body, right outside the body. So they're really helping to stabilize us in our embodiment and support us in our embodiment. And, a little bit of the extension of that, right? But it's really embodiment. So each week goes through a new gland. And I encourage people to really journal in between in what they're finding and practice the activation, practice allowing that energy to flow through and whatever they're feeling coming up, hopefully up and out. Sometimes there's a little bit of sticking, but whatever they're noticing. And, for myself, I notice things in the world around me, my telepathy, my dog is incredibly telepathic. So we've always had a really deep telepathic communication, but like even more after I did this, it's a very simple thing, right? But things like that, just the simple kind of things that are more easily turned on. And again, not looking from that, like, oh, I need to do, I need to feel, I need to be, but like just the allowing.
It really seems like the gifts that we have, our innate abilities come online. Our sensory perception is elevated. Our trust, because this is soul embodiment. This is Gaia embodiment.
Yes.
And when we're talking about oneness, we are Gaia. So, wow.
Yes. And and I also make sacred water essences. So I have a huge connection to water. And for me, this is a further extension of how we are part of the body of Gaia, right? We've got the 75% water. She's got the 75% water. And there's this huge opportunity for communication, connection, and alignment through water and through the consciousness of water. So I've been working with the consciousness of water for a very long time. It started with mermaids when I was a little girl. And so I create these sacred water essences, and I have a diamond line. So if you sign up for this course and you want the diamond essences, I would highly recommend it because they have the codes in them, and it's water collected from Mount Shasta. And I telepathically communicated with the high priestess of Telos before collecting the water. So the water was blessed by her. I collected it. The light codes and the diamonds, the actual physical diamonds, are in the essence, and then it's bottled, and then the dosing bottles get sent out. So that's another way to continue to embody, right? Another way to embody.
Tremendous. Beth, you're doing incredible work. Really. Thank you for that. And so also, one option is to do those activations and get a personal session with you as well, because for those who need trouble, who need assistance getting past the stickiness, as you described it, that's what makes you a great facilitator. You can help with that. What are your sessions like? What goes on in a session?
Yeah, we do a lot of clearing out the muck, and I use a lot of different tools for doing that. Primarily, I do a lot of work with the subconscious, and I do a lot of work with inner parts, and a lot of basically where can we clear and shift to allow more of your soul to come in. So it's a lot of like, okay, we're going to go into the shadow, but my belief is that to use the diamond again, is that the diamonds of our souls are within those shadow pieces. So the sticky parts, the shadow parts that are getting, in the way of you and where you'd like to be, you're within those. So when people have hesitation to go into them, I encourage, go into them and let's dismantle them. Like, let's dismantle the thoughts that you have about them, the feelings that you have about them, the beliefs that you have about them. And let's clear all those away. Let's clear all those away and get in touch with your inner parts that are in the center of that, right? So if it's like a trauma that happened and that inner child is sitting there, then let's clear off all of the untruths that child was told. And inside you have that diamond of yourself that you now get to call home. So that's a lot of how I work, is to deconstruct those shadow pieces that are sitting around the part of us that we want to bring home. Because this is all about all of us coming home to Gaia, right? So we have to come home to ourselves too. Yeah. So when we have those sticky parts, it's bigger and more complex for some of us than others. Sometimes it's as simple as like, for whatever reason, I'm afraid to do X, Y, or Z. So, okay, why are you afraid? Let's explore that. We go into that to get to the juicy goodness of you. Yeah, because the shadow is already there. We're just hiding it from ourselves. It's already there. It's already taking up space. So let's go look at it. Let's not be afraid. I'll hold your hand and let's clear the muck off and get you back to you. Bring you home to you.
Yes, beautiful. Again, that special offer is available with the activations and a personal session, and it's together or individually, however folks would resonate working with you in the best way. So we thank you for that, and we invite everyone to check it out. There's a 2-payment plan if that helps, because we want to make it easy for people as well. And so we're going to take a caller really quickly here, but I wanted to, there's a question that comes up, and I believe this is, you were saying, here it is. This is the mental mind coming in saying, we have to do something. Oh my gosh, how do we do this? When we see challenges, Mother Earth is fading. This is a question in our chat box. When witnessing challenges Mother Earth is facing, how can we be of assistance to her in the best and highest way versus getting caught in the chaos and the deviation of what is occurring? And I think what we did today in this process is exactly what we need to do. Not anything else, but maybe we take inspired action after making this connection. Is that right? Or would you like to explain it in another way?
Well, I think it's different for everyone, first of all, right? Because some people have a real soul calling to, work with reforestation, or so by all means, if that's your calling, or, you work with mushrooms or what, I mean, it's kind of a different thing because mushrooms were gifted and that's a whole other story. But, as far as my knowledge goes, but don't ignore a calling that you have, but I would explore it. Like, why are you feeling pulled? Are you feeling pulled because, sometimes we have like, we carry guilt about certain things, right? So check that it's not coming from a place of obligation or guilt, I would say. And like, what's your true heart's desire? What's your true heart's desire? And then I would connect with Anya Ata. I would go into, sometimes I just go all the way in and just sit with her at the center of the planet and just sit for like a while and listen to her, have a conversation with her and just talk to her. And you can ask her, I would ask her. And you can always check that with your source connection too, because you've got that, you can say, source, I had a conversation with Mama Earth, and like, this is, what it was about. This is what I got. Like, what do you think? You could check it with your higher self. I encourage, empowered conversation in these realms, that are within what I would call your pillar of light. So your pillar of light being your source connection, your soul, your higher self, your body, your connection to Gaia. Main parts, right? But that's your pillar. So we don't need to go outside of our pillar and start asking, other people necessarily. I mean, not that that's not, we do, but for this, it's like your personal choice of how does it feel to you? But absolutely, I think just allowing that energy to move through and bringing what you're doing, because it's not just allowing the energy to come through, it's allowing that consciousness to be present. And I think we really underestimate how much power is present just in holding a certain consciousness. Yeah, it doesn't have a physical result. Like, I can't give you a blue ribbon or whatever, but like holding the consciousness makes a huge, huge difference.
Thank you for that. And that is a beautiful lesson for all of us watching and listening. As we know, we're going to go and sit in Gaia's energy and really be connected in that way and embodied in that way. Thank you. Well, we have time for one or two questions. Let's go. I'm going to go to Damien. Damien's hand is up. So Damien, if you are ready and attentive, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Hi, Damien.
Hi. I didn't realize my hand was up. So you caught me off guard. But I liked Beth Rachel's presentation. It seemed to resonate with me. So she seems to be a beautiful person with something beautiful to offer. So I'll definitely look into the program. But no specific questions. I just left with a lot of curiosity about looking into it. So I'll definitely look into the program. But I didn't know my hand was up. You caught me off guard.
That's fair enough. Welcome to the Zoom panel. We love that. We love it.
All right.
There are no accidents, as we know. So it's beautiful to hear your voice. And let me ask you, did you feel the connection with Gaia and the heartbeat of Gaia? And what was that like for you?
Not really. I seem to be very dense in many ways, and that's maybe if I take the course, maybe that sticky stuff, the shadow sticky stuff. But as much as I have an interest in spirituality, and I've followed some of your great quantum conversations, Lauren, they're very good. But I feel like I've been on a spiritual journey a long time. Specifically a contemplative spiritual journey. I'm a member of Contemplative Outreach, so I believe in silent, quiet meditation. But as far my thirst and hunger seems to be more experiential, there seems to be a denseness about me that doesn't allow me to experience these things on a more experiential level. And my thirst is hunger is more for an experiential, um, feeling and understanding of this transformation. Yeah, I guess it's been mainly intellectual, and I honor the silence, that God is always with us, the silence. So I'm not panicked. I don't punish. I don't beat myself over the head for not having more experiences. But I seem to have a intuitive understanding of presenters like Beth Rachel. But my thirst and hunger is more for an experiential experience, and get rid of that stickiness, that shadow, whatever it is that's preventing me from experience it more. What do you think, Beth? That will the course help me with learning to experience my spirituality a little more?
I think it will certainly open you up, and then you have to make the decision of how much you want to move into, how much you want to dedicate to your own personal material that might be in the way, if that makes sense.
Sure. I'm all game. I'm all game. Yeah.
And that comes more from the one-on-one work than it does from the course.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see.
Both are good, but if you really want to work through the sticky stuff, the one-on-one is what really gets through the sticky points.
Oh, okay. Maybe I ought to look into the one-on-one then. Okay. But the information is what? Is it on your website, or where would I look for the information, Beth?
Lauren has the information for you.
Okay.
Yes, it's in the email that you got from us, or in the chat box. You'll see the link for the special offer and ways that you can work with Beth on that. That's beautiful.
Okay.
And I'd love to work with you in any of those ways. And I think in the special offer, I think you can do the core. I think we did it 3 ways. I think you can do the course plus a session, or you can just do a session. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
So you can look into those options and feel them out. Yeah.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much, Lauren and Beth.
And Damien, thank you. Practice makes perfect. You will pick up on it on your journey. Good luck on your journey. You use the word feeling, and that's the name of the game. Feel into it and follow your heart, as Beth said, and you will be guided. You will be guided. Yeah. You will be given the wisdom.
Right. I am a feeling type. By the way, am I on video? I can see both of you very clearly. Am I on video?
No, you are not.
No, just a voice. Just a voice.
Just your voice.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, I dress up a little bit, but you both are doing good.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
All right. You too.
Thanks. All right. And we have time for one more. I'm going to go to Destiny. Destiny, hello. You can ask your question when you unmute yourself. Hi.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, so good to see you, Beth.
Hi, Destiny.
See you. I'm feeling quite overwhelmed today. There's a lot of mental stuff going on, and I'm just wondering if you could lead me to what the heck is going on right now. I'm doing a lot of work, but today is a little overwhelming, and I'm just wanting to I'll give you a chance to look in because I need to figure out what's going on. Please.
It looks like doing some space clearing would be good. Some of those projections that I was talking about within the field of consciousness around the head and the pineal gland is where those projections get caught. So doing some clearing of those feels like it will help lighten your space. As you know, there's some deeper work that you can do, but just for right now, if you want something lighter to lighten up, that would be my suggestion, is to clear the rings of perception around your pineal gland and get that space clear.
Thank you, my dear, because Yeah, I would have not even known that unless I come on this call. Like I didn't even know that was part of the work that we have to do, you know? So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that. Now I know another place that got to be cleared. Thank you. Thank you, Beth.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Loren.
Thank you, Destiny.
I appreciate
Right,
you.
have a journey with that. We appreciate you. Thanks for your light, sister. All right.
Blessings.
You know, it's very interesting in that process connecting when we brought in source energy and went to the center of the earth and then brought her energy, her soul energy. Oh my God, that was so beautiful. I'm still feeling it. I felt in my forehead pineal gland area a little bit of pressure. And so I don't need to go into what was that, but just my awareness that something was there and I knew something was being cleared there. And it makes sense when you're talking about new perceptions, when you have deeper insight or telepathy. I just had someone stay with me for a day or so, and he definitely got my telepathy, which is very interesting. These are the skills that we're bringing on when we do this work. So happy clearing, everyone. It is not easy, but it's pretty simple. And we have the tools. We have beautiful facilitators like Beth Rachel, who are here to help us with these beautiful technologies and inner wisdom, wisdom from the higher realms. You've done this in your own life, and you are here helping other people do it in their life. And with what you've gone through in your childhood, in the dark stuff, the darkest of dark, you are the greatest testimony that this work is very beneficial. And so because of that, we are in gratitude. And we're so glad that you didn't just wallow in that and stay stuck in that, that you achieved, you listened to your soul, that you embodied. And this is where we're all headed in our own unique individual ways. It's so beautiful. I have one last question for you.
Yes.
You said mushrooms are gifted. Can you share that?
Yeah. To my knowledge and awareness, the mycelium was not originally part of the design, but as the planet was kind of having a difficult time, I'll just kind of put it generally, right? The energetic structure of the planet, that is the flow of energy that comes from that center and goes through, I call that the Nutiba. It's another light language term. And the portion that goes through us is the Tuista. Anyway, the Nutiba was having trouble stabilizing at some point. So we had a race gift the mycelium because it supports, almost like a splint would, a sprained finger, supports that flow of energy, which is why the mycelium is such a gift and so important here.
Wow. Okay. And to know how it is connected in the roots of our planet, right? So that, oh, wow. Okay. Fascinating. Thank you. Thank you for answering that. And I, again, thank everyone for being here. Thank you for this light. If we truly step into our world, move on our planet with this connection that we've learned today from Beth Rachel, we are doing our work. And again, we are in deep gratitude for everyone who is stepping up in this way. And it is your embodiment that when you're connected in this way to source, your heart, the earth, that's our task at hand. And it's beautiful on the other side. Beth, I want to give you a moment to say any final thoughts as we say goodbye.
Yeah, I just want to say that, kind of second what you had said, is the journey is unique for all of us. But I think that the destination, if we can, commit to that, dropping into that deeper state of consciousness and that unified field of oneness here with Gaia, I think that is the key to our forward momentum for our evolution, our planetary evolution.
And you see that happening. Is there any timeline, or have you seen that in a vision?
I have seen the timeline shift. a lot. So I hesitate to say anything, it was like, oh, it'll, be then, no. So, and I think, that's another one of those places of like, oh yeah, okay, I guess that's because that's another mental attachment. And really this is about coming into the embodiment. So that makes sense that, it's like, the timeline's going to keep shifting until we stop asking is sort of what it feels like.
Just embody, right? Just be it, just embody. All right.
Yeah.
Rachel, thank you so much for being here. You are a beautiful, fresh, bright light, and you just carry great wisdom that benefits all of us, and we are eternally grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We do appreciate you. You're doing incredible work. We all are, and we love you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.